Hey family, welcome to How Love Works, where we talk about the principles for lasting love. Well, family, I'm here today to review Married at First Sight, episode 11. Well, I think that this was a pretty interesting, very interesting episode 11. I think it has to do with anniversaries and secrets. Well, I will say this, that the way I saw it was all about me. Again, all about me. Let me put my coffee down and let's just get into this. Now, let's start out with Mika and Michael. Now, interesting to me, Mika and Michael. I was really impressed with Mr. Michael again. He's pulling out the stops. They've been married for 30 days. It's their anniversary. First thing that he does, he decides he's going to make his favorite meal, breakfast for his wife. And wow, it was almost like that old movie I saw, Breakfast at Tiffany's. You know, he was really ate up. He's putting the effort forward. He's putting little efforts forward. And sadly, he's not really getting any benefit for putting those efforts forward. It's like no matter what he does, he's still in the doghouse. He's not winning. And so she says, not to him, of course, that that's not her favorite meal. But you've heard me say this before, ladies. Compromise on what you want. Negotiate on what you need. This is not a need necessarily that she actually needs. But this is something that her husband wants to do for her. She should be focused on the fact that he wants to put this effort for her, put it forward to her. He wants to share something that matters to him. And of course, being a 25-year-old, you can't see past your feelings. Sad. All right. Then they go on the love boat. He takes her on the love boat, gets out there. They're all dressed up. He's in his suit. Come in a limo. Man, my man's pulling out all the stops. She gives him some ties on the boat. He turns around and says, hey, we're going to go to Jamaica and we're going to swim with the dolphins, because he had just recently asked her, is there anything on her bucket list that she wants to fulfill? And so he says, I'm going to take you to Jamaica. We're going to swim with the dolphins. This is also going to make up for our bad honeymoon episode that we both experienced, but I was mostly responsible for. So he's trying to make amends. Okay, he's paying back. He's trying. I mean, first of all, he apologized. Then he gave her several gifts. Between this particular gift, candy and all those different things, taking her out to dinner, all of that, making breakfast for her, all these little bitty efforts. None of them, not one of them. She made a little issue about the breakfast. I don't like breakfast. About me. Then she says, well, I hope he's sincere. She still seems a little suspicious. All about me. See? All right. Austin and Jessica. Austin comes up with something I thought was, hey, I liked it. I never thought of anything like that. I was watching this program with my girl and I said, hey, let's do that. Let's do that. I think I want to do that. I want to put my hand in the mold with my wife. I want to make that for us. I like that. That was a great idea. And I I was really pretty impressed with that, to say the least. And then he took it to another level. They went out on their anniversary after doing that thing in the house, making them hand mold with them holding their hands together, symbolizing their commitment. and the togetherness. And he took her to dinner, got her favorite flowers, the whole deal, right? And she ended up segueing into trying to see if she can push him gently into saying if he loved her or not. Okay. Ugh. Now, he had already been clear about it. He was very clear that he said it before to another girl. It didn't work out for him. So it means something to him. But she just want to hear the pretty words. I understand. She just want to hear the pretty words. So I could tell when she saw that he wasn't going to give her the answer she wanted, she decided to go ahead and take the off ramp and say, okay, so you would say that we are both growing in love. And of course, he says, yes, we are growing in love, which is true. You've only known her for 30 days. She's only known you for 30 days. What's wrong with her? But that's okay. I'm going to get to it. All right. But I got to give it to her. She didn't mess it up. They continued and had a dinner, right? Right. So it turned out pretty well for them. They went to bed, had a great day, whole day. Now let's go over here to Derek and Katie. Derek and Katie, Derek ended up having a Brandon moment. He decided to call his bride. He decided to say "F you" to her. And the only reason he did that is because he got his little feelings hurt. He got his little boxers in a bunch because she said that after the next month, that'll be the end of this 8-week experiment, that she was going to keep her apartment. And that kind of hurt his feelings, right? So he decided to say what he said, and but they had a discussion. They went to dinner. He went all out. They went to dinner, and they reconciled at dinner, talked about how they need to communicate better and not say things in the heat of the moment. And of course, he decided to give her tickets to her favorite concert, to see her favorite band. They ended up at home, wine, candy, flowers on the floor, in the bathroom, taking a nice soak, kissing, spooning, all that good stuff, right? Everything seems great, right? Until the next episode. And so everything was going well for them, for those two guys. But now that takes us to Zach and Mindy. Zach and Mindy. Our old Zach. He tried to pull the Jedi mind trick on Mindy. He just didn't know, though. He didn't know who he was dealing with. He tried to pull the Jedi mind trick on it. Tried to suggest in his own confusing way. Mr. Pretty Boy, totally confused, though, right? He tried to suggest to her that from the honeymoon forward, that she has not been truthful with him, and that she was holding back something, and that she knew exactly what that was. And so when she questioned him on it, said, I don't understand what you're talking about. I have no clue. What is it? He said, well, I can't tell you, but you know what it is. That dude is a dunderhead. He is a knucklehead. I'm telling you. So, during the process of this conversation, she does go in and ask him a simple question. She says, I just want to know, are you going to step up and play your role as a husband? And then so she also asks him, are you gay, or are you having an affair outside this relationship? And then he popped his head up. Of course, that's when he said what he said. I kind of jumped off in front and said what I had to say about this little, whether or not she was being honest or dishonest and all this other and stuff. But it led her to asking him more questions. And she started the third degree, and he couldn't handle it because the girl got to go in zones. And so he couldn't handle that. And so after she ended up talking and grilling him and asking him all these questions, it turns out that he's having a relationship with her best friend, Lindsay. And he met her at the wedding. When I saw Lindsay and I saw Mindy, I was like, Lindsay ain't got nothing on Mindy, nothing. And he's not attracted to Mindy. Lindsay is big old tall frumpy chick. So I think he like plain Jane types. Okay, whatever. I guess he don't want pretty to be competing with pretty. That's his issue. He's a little vain. All right. Anyway, I think what got me with Lindsay, if I was her, I'd cut Lindsay loose because when Mindy asked her, when was the last time you texted him? And she said earlier that day, she said, screenshot it to me, screenshot it and send it to me. She said, oh, I deleted it. You know, I don't want nothing to do with him. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a lie. That's a lie. I was like, man, for all I know, she done flew in a couple times and spent the night at his spot. And they were doing the, you know, as we used to say back in Detroit, they were doing the nasty. That's all I'm saying. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, now, Brandon and Taylor, okay, meeting in the ladies' room. Pretty apropos for Mr. Brandon. Right? Now, Taylor calls him over, getting the nails done, the whole deal, right? They get over there, they talk a little bit. He's all standoffish, almost, you know, he don't want to look at her halfway, talking in his typical monotone voice. And so she gives him a card, you know, happy 30th day anniversary. I mean, their relationship's over already. Isn't that amazing? 30 days, less than 30 days, it's over, right? Amazing. That's fascinating. And so she apologizes in the card. Now I'm gonna extend an olive branch to Mr. Brandon. I'm not mad at him on this one. He right. She even though she was upset, even though they just had a big argument, she went out there and she said some things that was inflammatory, upset him, upset his little heart, everything, got him all mad and hurt and everything. So I think it would have been fair that she should apologize to him verbally rather than apologize to him in a car. I see that she did have a little resistance in that arena, but that's not an issue for me because, you know, when I first got married, we were young. My wife had a lot of problems at admitting and taking responsibility and accountability for anything she said, anything she thought, and anything she did. I used to have a name for her because I was always the bad guy. I was always the fall guy. I was the reason for her doing stupid. Okay? So I used to call her Teflon Lady. Because nothing stuck to my baby. Nothing. And of course, she grew out of that. You know, we both grew out of that. So uh, it was crazy. It was crazy. But I think this is just my opinion. I can't prove this because I'm not God. I can't judge the future. But based upon past experiences with this guy, it's a very good indicator of the future. I don't think anything she would have did would have changed his mind. Nothing. Even if she would have sat there, stood on the table and shouted, I am sorry, Brandon, for hurting your feelings. I am. I was wrong and I shouldn't have never did it. I said what I said out of anger. It didn't matter. That was the reason, but it was no excuse. Will you please forgive me? I guarantee you he might have forgave her, but he would have made a reason around the fact that she was doing it verbally to get attention. And he would have said, because you're doing it this way, I know it's not sincere. He'd have found a reason not to do it. Okay. Now, let's deal with the takeaways. These are my takeaways. All right. Now, Mika, Katie, and Jessica, they're all three. You guys know this. They still operating out of fear. But Mika and Katie, they're basically coming from this perspective. They believe they're going to be hurt. That's their bottom line. They believe they're going to be hurt. Okay, so what they do is they're holding back. They're guarding their heart. Okay, specifically when we're talking about Mika, see, Mika was a surrogate parent. She kind of raised her own siblings, and Katie came from the experience of divorce, and so she's got some abandonment issues, and as a result, you know, they both have real resistance in their relationships when they deal with anything that triggers some of the past hurts that they've experienced. So, in the case of Mika believes that she's always going to be hurt by the people closest to her or anybody that's close to her. So as a result, what she has adopted is a fatalistic perspective on relationships in general. And so it causes a self-fulfilling prophecy. What she believes as far as the negative, that's exactly what's going to happen. All right. And you can see it. It's played out. You see it with both of them. Both of them are guarded. When we're talking about Mika, uh, Mika suspects any ulterior motive, even if she receives a kind gesture, even if she receives gifts and gestures. She's always suspicious of everything. Okay, neither one of them are safe to talk to. If I was a man and I was interested in either one of them, if they have a chip on their shoulders about anything emotionally, they're not safe to talk to. I cannot win with them. Okay, and I think that the remedy for both of these ladies, the antidote would be that they just need to focus on loving and supporting their husbands. They need to focus on being wives and stop being little lost sheep, trying to make points, trying to be heard, trying to be seen. Just focus on being a wife. We'll see what happens. Jessica, again, her issue is fear, right? Her fear is that Austin doesn't say the pretty words. He doesn't say the three pretty words. I love you, right? So since he doesn't say the pretty words, then she doesn't believe that their commitment is legitimate. She doesn't believe it because he just won't say the words. Okay, so this is what I say. I say modern relationships suck. They blow. I mean, that's why they don't work, because they're so insincere, they're insecure, they're childish, they're inferior, and oh my God, shallow. You mean to tell me three little simple words, that's all I got to do is tell you that? You don't need no evidence? I think that's not only just circular reasoning, it's backwards. You don't do that with any other area of your life. You always need evidence before you step forward. But when it comes to love, you just take those three pretty words, and I know why you do it. Okay? I'm going to tell you why. Now, here's something that I should have said maybe when I was doing those nevers, things you never say to a man. This should have been 15. Never ask, never try to manipulate or pressure a man to say that he loves you. Never do that, because it's going to create distortion and it's create distance. All right. What you want to do is what I did for my own daughter. I was talking to my daughter about the relationship with the individual she's with right now, right? And I told her, this is what I told my daughter. I said, how do you know the brother loves you? Of course, she couldn't answer that clearly enough for her father. So I said, let me tell you something. And this is the advice I give to Jessica. So don't worry about whether or not the boy give you the pretty words, because this dude has already told my daughter the pretty words. They don't mean nothing to me. They're just like ornaments on a Christmas tree. They're just pretty to look at. That's all it is. All right. I said, does he have your best interest? Does he seek your highest good? I said, does he keep the agreements? Does he keep the commitments that he's agreed to? He failed all three of those tests. I said, then he don't love you. That's evidence. Those three are the evidence of love. That's it. I'm just telling you, right? And that's all she needs to be looking at, Jessica, right? Because here's the bottom line. I'm going to move on. The bottom line is, if she looks at that and he has kept his commitments to her that he's agreed to, right? And the main thing is that when she asks him to keep, when she asks him for a request, okay, no, I'm sorry, not a request. When she asks him to fulfill a request, to meet a certain need, desire, or a want, and he agrees to it, he commits to it, and he agrees to it. And if he does it, that's a very good, strong indicator that the man loves you. And so when he does get to the point where he does say, Austin, that he loves you, then you know he means it, because he's proven it. He's proven it. And so that's how you know for sure that the man loves you. And you know it's going to mean that much more to you when he does say he loves you, rather than you trying to manipulate him just to say the words. Because at the end of the day, it's about you. And you just know that he has to say those words because it means something to you. You want it to mean something to both of you, him as well. Not just you. See, it's all about you. All right. Zach and Mindy. Well, here we go. My takeaway for Mindy, run. Run as far as you can, right? Zach is a deceiver, a manipulator, and he's a walking deal breaker. Okay, same reasons I gave for my own daughter, right? He never had your best interest. He never never sought your highest good, and he consistently violated the commitments he agreed to. Consistently. So why would anybody want to stay in a relationship with a man like that? Last but not least, Brandon. I knew from the beginning, I knew from the honeymoon that Brandon wasn't the marrying type, for the same three reasons that Zach wasn't the marrying kind. Same three reasons. He never had our best interest. He never sought our highest good. And he violated his commitments, all right, that he agreed to, right? He did that. No one can deny. That's undeniable. And number 4, he's a feminized male. What does that mean? A feminized male is a man who needs his feelings to be cherished. He needs his feelings to be cherished. His feelings are it. They are the ultimate. His feelings are king. His feelings are the most important thing to him, even more important than his integrity. Principle means nothing, right? When his feelings are injured, even for the slightest reason, he always overreacts, which is what he did. He either becomes angry, defensive, or he abandons. For example, Brandon seemed to be totally blindsided by the work and effort of adjusting to a complete stranger. He shouldn't have been. She was a stranger. He don't know her. She don't know him. It give you 8 weeks to figure out one another and see if you want to make a go of it, right? Didn't mean nothing. He agreed, right? He also had no empathy, and he showed no empathy for building and growing through the hard times that they were both facing. Now, I recognize that when you get married, I just told you when I first got married, it was an adjustment period. It was difficult the first, I'd say the second year, the second year, maybe the third year, because we were learning each other. We were learning that, some of us, our communication style wasn't as good as the other, and we were learning that some of the selfishness that we had was coming to the surface because we spent so much time together, and we learned how to get over it because the commitment was more important than our foolishness. Okay. Now, what seemed to me is that he had no empathy for building and growing through the hard times. As soon as his feelings took a direct hit, he magnified, personalized his feelings to the 100th power. And it was like she had slapped his mother or something in front of everybody, or had sex with his best friend in their bed. And so he failed to even consider the context of the words of the bad choice of words that she used on video. Now, it was true, she was wrong, but he just ignored the context. Like, they didn't have an argument just about less than an hour ago. She was hurt. It was a reason, but it was no excuse. She was still wrong. Okay, I don't have no sacred cows here. I'm not trying to protect her. I'm just giving you fact. You have to consider the context, right? Now, all he reveled in, that's all he talked about, was his feelings and how hurt he was, right? So, of course, she violated the unpardonable sin. And you can't do that with Mr. Brandon. You can't violate the unpardonable sin. So, after less than 30 days, that relationship is over. But it's probably good riddance and it's best. Taylor dodged the bullet. You can't deal with a man who operates the truth is his feelings, because he's going to be always up and down. So, that's my time. I thank you for yours. Catch you on the other side. God bless.